The renegade when afraid. Man in the wilderness. Keep it real and honest on here. Right now, when the people. Let me see them black out the face. Them black out the face. The two Jamaica premier. Past prime minister. What do for them work? This guy whenever do nothing. Cannot do nothing, you know, but them just run some election and tell people some lie and do all kind of little things. Them don't know the struggle. Them don't know hurricane. It's so disrespectful, it's unbelievable. I'm not sure why me as a man listen to Sir Joshua Manley. Them man, yeah, you remember back in the days, in the struggle. Because I remember in the 60s, you know, you have black people struggle in the 60s and 70s. In America, big struggle. You know, Martin Luther King, you have Malcolm X, you have a lot of leaders and things. And the same thing in Jamaica, you know, 70s struggle. But Manley, you know, and Theme, you know, said, you know, move to change that and change the imperialist, the grip for the imperialists upon the country, you know, and at that you get fight from. Which you have to come and tell about a lie and all kind of things and people follow them. So I see Andrew run out and say things about, you know, the 70s, where I say, yeah, this the struggle youth, you know nothing about your history. Same with Mandela. From the 60s, same way, in the 70s, him did it. So Mandela fight for him too, and Castro fight for him too. See? When you listen to them interview, yeah. Now, if you try some interview, I want you to listen keenly what Sir Mandela did all about. I don't think you don't watch a one, yeah. I'm going to show no one who don't watch. I want to show some other one. I want to hear where Sierra come with him foolishness. Yeah? And when him come in, him just take the country and give it back to them. Remember in the 60s, never touch, you know. When we get independence, no, never touch. Never touch. You know? You get a real leader who move the country at last and open your eyes and mind and open your way to think our country for move forward. Saying? Like any other great country. And then you have a set of people, say them are some more politically aligned, them is mash up the place. Yeah. And instead of you're independent, no, you're dependent. Me no nothing with them. Nah, joke. Make me watch this. Let me go into this now. You know, afternoon. When we do them great class, you know, we have to open it like this. The flow like this. And then we watch a great class and then we go in it. Watch it. Great struggle. Anybody comes to something about the 70s, man, them for cast and lake of fire, man, them for go, man. Yeah, man. Because you know the greatest thing, before man they win in a 72. And I like something that go on, black people in have no chance or nothing at all. They have to just squat. It make it can work anyway. In gear, you know, he put everything right back in a black people and everything. They say, no, independence, you mean independence. No boss, never stop run. A matter of fact, the fleet of the Jers can come in from 1950, I don't know, the Jers. But him grew that in the 70s. The plane, what we have from around 69, him grew it in the 70s. You can go check it. A matter of fact, we own the plane, we never own it in the 70s, you know, and in the 60s, 69, but it was coming in, you know. In the earlier part, in the 70s, we own it. And more fleet and more, you know, destination and everything, man. The train, everything, them disappear. Them gone. Watch this. Boy, you listen to the interview you're keen in. No phone never see it. Watch it.
Jamaica, and a man who was born while Queen Victoria was still on the throne of England are my guests this evening for some insights into the interdependence of the world we live in. League Baseball announced that henceforth their world...
Boy, you hear that? Look what the man did a fight for, you know. This is about to just win a party and mag like what Andrew wanted to do and win a party. But just hear what the interviewer say, yes, sir. With them baseball where America do. Just listen.
Traveling to distant parts of the world, recording interviews and film reports with people who can add to our understanding of the forces that are shaping life on this planet. My interest...
And the forces that shaping life on the planet. Where's the real leaders and real early leaders? You don't play with them.
In doing this series was partly spurred last fall, when the grown-up leaders of American Little League Baseball announced that henceforth their World Series would be limited strictly to American teams. They didn't say why, but the reason was pretty apparent. Teams from Taiwan and Japan had won 7 of the last 8 championships, and the grown-up leaders of the Little League Baseball organization decided that if you can't beat them, don't play them. So now the World Series of Little League is a closed shop, and the grown-up sponsors are assured that Americans will always come out first.
Yeah, so them use that. I tell you, you have some man they come in now. But them that play baseball like your Taiwan, you had a team that win 7 out of what and what. America never win. So America do, America say, okay, we're going to play what one. We always a win. We not play no team else outside and nothing. It's different. Baseball, and them just play by themselves. Them always win. Them couldn't win before. So just keep it in America and we'll win. See? All right. Yeah, you for yourself, not my word. This, by the way, this is a 1975 interview, yeah? Just go and listen.
The real world, of course, isn't like that. We're all affected by forces beyond our control and beyond our shores, and our survival isn't going to be played out merely among Americans. So in these programs, we've cast an ear toward men and women of other nations who have something to say about the new ball game, the real World Series in which the human race will win or lose together. Tonight, 2 views from abroad. This is Michael Manley, the Prime Minister of Jamaica. He leads a small island republic in the Caribbean. For 300 years, Jamaica was a colony of England and only gained its independence 13 years ago. Michael Manley's father was a leader in the independence movement and a former Prime Minister himself. While Jamaica is small and dependent on tourism and bauxite for the health of its economy, under Manley, the country has begun.
So, on the definitely know, sir, 1975 interview this. You hear him say we just get independent 13 years ago. 62, 13, 75. So, may I show you exactly when, you notice, we can tell you can even this identify when the interview took place. 1975, as I tell you. You hear him say we get independent just 13 years ago? Continue. Just listen to this.
Begun to assume a role of leadership in what is called the Third World, those largely non-white countries in the southern half of the globe that were once colonies and are now seeking their own path to national pride and economic growth. I talked with the Prime Minister on the terrace of his home in Jamaica. Why do you consider Jamaica part of the Third World?
Well, I think that the Third World is made up of countries that have shared a certain common historical experience, firstly, and secondly, who are aware of that fact.
What is that experience?
And that experience, of course, is well documented and talked about, and that is the problem of being part of that formerly colonial empire, which may have been British, may have been French, other parts of Europe, but where the whole of the development of the particular country was stamped by the fact of colonialism, with all that that implied in terms of economic development, becoming the great sort of producers of raw materials for the world, and suffering all the economic disadvantages of imbalanced economic development and political dependency. So I think if you have shared that experience and then have developed the capacity to see that for yourself and to see that it makes you a part of a historical problem, then you are, in fact, a member of the Third World. Jamaica has shared that experience, and I hope we are now aware of the fact.
You once wrote that all the newly independent territories have found themselves trapped in an economic dilemma. What kind of dilemma?
It is the dilemma that flows from being dependent on the production of certain kinds of basic materials, raw materials particularly, like we, for instance, are sugar. There are countries that are dependent on, say, producing cotton. There are all sorts of examples of it. And where, first of all, the prices that one commands historically for the export of those things do not move nearly as rapidly as the prices of all the manufactured goods that we, of course, have to import from the great centers like America, Britain, Europe, and the rest of it. And where, as a result, you're constantly transferring wealth from poorer countries to richer countries because you're paying, it's really taking more and more sugar to buy a tractor or an automobile or more and more bales of cotton.
How do you break out of that dilemma?
Well, I don't see any way out of it short of the development of strategies within what we call the framework of a new world economic order. What one really means by that is I think, 2 things. I think one implies something very important in the decision-making process. one is implying that historically, the great seats of economic power in the so-called metropolitan nations, by the sheer power of their economic influence, have dominated economic decision-making in the world and have, as a consequence, been the beneficiaries of the decisions that are made to the detriment and harm of the so-called third world. But more specifically, I think what one really means to get to the practical implications of it is this. As long as a concept of free market forces determines the price element in world trade, you are going to get the problem of a tendency to buoyant manufactured goods prices as against stagnant staple prices. And therefore, you'll be trapped in the dilemma. So that until you can devise international institutions which can begin to negotiate the terms on which goods move from one country to another, you will forever be trapped in the dilemma.
Are the third world countries beginning to negotiate those institutions?
Oh, clearly. You see, I think that the recent agreement between the African, Caribbean, and Pacific countries, that's the 46 nations that have just made this very important new agreement with the European Economic Community. I think that that agreement is historic in its significance. Well, it does a number of things. It, for example, takes quite an important range of products that are vital to these 46 third world countries and guarantees certain kinds of price formulae for their goods, which begin to guarantee adequate returns.
Jamaica has always relied on foreign goods, foreign markets, foreign ideas, and foreign outlets for labor. Is that changing?
Obviously, one can't ever break out of any fundamental alignment of arrangements quickly. But what we are doing is, as rapidly as our human and financial resources permit, trying to produce for ourselves the things that we can, so as to cut down that degree of foreign dependence. We are also actively seeking opportunities to trade within the third world group, wherever they present themselves. All of which begins to do what we think is critical, which is to break the pattern of total dependence on the metropolitan nexus. You know the old problem about that if Washington sneezes, and I mean no disrespect to one of the world's great capitals, if Washington sneezes, everybody else catches a cold. Seems like a joke to an American, but is a very serious problem of health to everybody else.
Is that what's meant, you think, by the term interdependence?
Well, that is one possible and unfavorable interpretation of the meaning of interdependence. But what we really are, we know perfectly well that nations can never be isolated. We understand this. But what we feel is that to be overly dependent on certain kinds of relationships is unhealthy. And really what we are trying to do is to build up the strongest possible internal base to our economy, which guarantees one kind of freedom of economic action, and then to spread as widely as possible the sort of net of external relationships. And that is why, for example, we are now working out an aluminum complex with Mexico. We think this is very important, that we should develop a whole new exploitation of bauxite mining and aluminum processing with Mexico as an alternative avenue and outlet for the resource from the traditional North American sources.
So much of Jamaica's economy is affected by decisions taken by multinational companies whose headquarters are in capitals a long way from here. How does the government of a small country protect its national interest against decisions made in distant capitals?
It is extremely difficult, and actually, I think more than anything else, this explains a phenomenon in the world today that is causing both misunderstanding and concern, particularly to metropolitan countries. I refer, for example, to what we have actively helped to engineer in the world, which is known as the International Bauxite Association, which is a body that seeks to bring into alliance for the development of coherent policies all the major bauxite-producing countries of the world. Now, we do this because, faced with the problem of the multinational corporation, we find that each small individual country experiences the preemption a lot of the decision-making process. Very often, Pittsburgh may have a boardroom that is deciding the fate of thousands of Jamaicans, how a critical Jamaican resource should be deployed in the next 10, 15, or 20 years. It is obviously inconsistent with any concept of economic sovereignty. And we find that to try to deal with a group of multinational corporations alone is a serious problem. It's very difficult for us. So that we see, therefore, the development of a thing like the International Bauxite Association as partly a necessary element in the attempt to get fair returns for a natural resource like bauxite, to make that an input into the development of a new economic order. We also find it very important as the part of a process by which we begin to retain within Jamaica the decision-making process over our own resources, because then you can lock together a number of small countries who have no hostile intentions against anybody. We are not trying to hold anybody to ransom over raw materials. We're not trying to starve out any country by the use of the raw materials as a weapon. We are trying to see that the exploitation of that raw material is carried out in a manner that brings the greatest possible benefit to our people and reflects our own sense of our own national priorities. We recently imposed a levy on our bauxite production in Jamaica. It had the effect of multiplying by 8 Jamaica's revenue from the exploitation of, I think, 15 million tons of bauxite a year. We're one of the biggest producers in the world. So where we were getting $25 million a year revenue for all of this bauxite, we're now getting $200 million a year. So this caused a great stir. The effect of that bauxite levy was an increase of less than 2 cents a pound on the aluminum in the American market. Now that caused a fantastic furor that we were holding America up to ransom. There were congressional hearings about it for the sake of 1.5 cents at a time, if I may complete the analogy. At a time when we, a traditional customer for American wheat, paying full market price for the wheat, had watched wheat prices go from $67 a ton to $249 a ton. We had watched...
You hear what I'm saying? Well, I have cut it right there, so. So the bauxite levy, don't put like $1, 1 cent, 1.5 cents per pound. And it one bag of fuel up this one, them car meat, none of do everything. They want to move him now, you know. They want to get rid of him. When them tell they say, you know, other things where they must sell them wheat and thing move from $60 a ton to $200 a ton, you can't sell nothing to them. That people don't buy your country because you need the wheat, you need the rice, you need this. But when you move your thing, that's 1.5 cents per pound. Them that like that. So they want to try and say, eh? They want to get rid of him. Because you want to hold on country. Country like our country should have up. Should have up. And that's why I said they should have up. Yeah, man.
Soya beans go from less than $100 a ton to something over $400 a ton. We had watched tractor prices go up by 40, 50, 60%. We were living and being throttled by this price behavior in the American market. And we not retaliated, we just negotiated a small riposte, the most gentle of ripostes, which added 1.5 cents a pound to a 31-cent article in America. And America regarded this as an absolute catastrophe, a confrontation and a challenge to her rights and authority in the world.
Take the example of bauxite.
So America take that to a challenge. Man, they challenge them, but everything for them go up. You see it? But them take it for a challenge now. We want to challenge them because, you know, the members of the bauxite alumina. They have to make a rocket, they have to make plane, they have to make enough more things. So I challenge them. But you still wheat and everything go up. See it? The money I think on a different level. I don't know how Angie want to size up and I talk about 70s, mash up this and all kind of. If I mention 70s, in for charge for treason. He's not supposed to even do this. Because you don't know about struggle. And yet still 70s, you know a cents where I use. You know where I use paper 50 cents. 70s. That for sure the money that's strong. If you have paper 50 cents, it tell you how the economy that's strong. So when they come and lie to you, come on, quiet your mouth, man. Not garbage, man. But you come black out people face, very out of order. See? Who did that to you know? Portia and Patterson. Yeah? Continue.
Sitting on one of the richest deposits in the world, and yet most of it is controlled by outsiders. Have you ever considered expropriating the bauxite?
No. We have always believed that, that if we were going to nationalize a foreign corporation, that we would feel in honor bound to pay reasonable compensation for the asset that we took over. And I'm assuming that when you said expropriate, you mean to take over without compensation. No, that's absolutely contrary to our principles, contrary to our Constitution, and contrary to our law.
Do you think that we are in this modern world for increased...
So you see it, him tell us, take it over, I don't pay feet, him never do that. Him not do it. Him pay feet, him might have force buy, and him start make money. You hear what him tell you? Him never in the arms house, never in the arms house. And them want paint it somehow.
Increasing violence. Is violence a part of the world we're going to be living in?
I would fear so, and I think it will remain so to the extent that the world won't face the challenge of what I call total social engineering. I think that as long as you live in a world that is at least partially dominated by concepts of acquisitiveness, permissiveness, and all the rest of it, that sees society as some big sort of thing that is supposed to happen by accident. I know this is contrary to all the classic Western theology. I don't accept the Western theology any longer over this. I think that more and more you've got to see the world in terms of deliberate social engineering of security for babies, the daycare centers, the management of an economy that guarantees employment for everybody, that guarantees a reasonable distribution of wealth so that you don't have provocative extremities of wealth and poverty. And I think you've just got to engineer that world. And if you don't engineer that world, I think the acquisitive sort of freewheeling world inevitably is impelled towards violence by the inequities that it produces.
Okay.
One last question. When we were walking into the patio, you said you thought this was an epochal period in the evolution of the human race. What did you mean by that?
Because I think you're watching one of the great transitional periods of history. One of the classic power hegemonies of history has reigned unchallenged. The metropolitan North has reigned unchallenged for, 150, 170 years, 200 years. And you are now watching in the emergence of the third world and its capacity to articulate itself as a group and its needs as a group, watching in the discovery of the bargaining power of oil and the OPEC group. You're watching in all of this one of these great transitional moments in history, would you not agree? When a power hegemony is being challenged, not to be necessarily replaced by another power hegemony, but certainly to create a reordering of the disposition of power in the world.
What would you say to an American who looks out upon a seething and turbulent world?
What would I say to him? Well, I think he would do well to remember what George III might have felt when he faced the uprising. Change happens and you get accustomed to it, and England in the end became a great friend and ally of America's. But there was challenge. This time there doesn't have to be a warlike challenge. And I think that the real key to a lot in the future of the world is to be found in the speed with which America, with its great capacity for adaptation, innovation, its pragmatic common sense, will just apply that common sense to a world that is in the throes of change, where that change can be immeasurably assisted if Americans will understand what they can contribute to it, rather than feel that it is their duty to fight it and resist it. This is what I would say. I really hope you'll help.
Michael Manley, the Prime Minister of Jamaica, one of the most impressive political leaders of the new governments that make up the Third World, and a man who believes that interdependence is here to stay.
You understand? One of the most impressive leaders in the Third World. Andrew, you know, come and call them, man. When me just say that little part, them say they must fight and miss it. And tell them him to don't it.
Americans will understand what they can contribute to it, rather than feel that it is their duty to fight it and resist it. This is what I would say. I really hope you'll help.
Michael Manley, the Prime Minister of Jamaica, one of the most impressive political leaders of the new governments that make up the Third World, and a man who believes that interdependence is here to stay.
Andrew, you never have them people that come interview and tell us you're impressive, and you're impressive, they read which and every this. And then you have, at the same time, America use Siago, well, him born up there, one of them one. And him come and say something like this.
More so to believe our view than the opposite view contended, that Manley's ultimate aim is to take Jamaica into the Cuban orbit and to transform the society into a Cuban-type society. They have, in fact, implemented many of the types of institutions that are necessary for the transformation.
So, up to today, cannot know that government say none of them. I want to show me, go show me one of the institutions we make for turning a communist in a Jamaica, Manley. One, just show me one. This is how them lie and wicked, This is how them wicked, and the people them should light up. That's why Manley demand them get education. The man should have charged for treason a long time. Yes, no joke. Yeah? You hear what I'm saying? Yeah, you hear what I talk about, A community I talk about, Leninist. Yeah, hear this.
In Jamaica, I'm skipping.
Remember, came back. All right, let me carry this. Soon came back.
Tried in 1976 to organize a military coup to overthrow Michael Manley. In 1976, they supported attempts to assassinate Michael Manley on 3 different occasions. The little man who led Jamaica, who spoke at Savior's Day, was such a threat to our government that they attempted 3 times to assassinate the man in 1976. So later, they found a way to get rid of him through riots in the street over food when they cut off assistance to Jamaica. This is America.
I like greatness. I know my history, that's why I not talk to everybody, show me off, You understand? I'm going to stay in my wilderness. Because I just show you something when I know found and never see the while. I bring back where Siago said, I bring it up back. Yeah? Let me bring it up back and then let me move this. Can I see now play? Let me move it and then play this. Let me carry it back. Yeah, man. I'm just carry back where Siago did say something. Let me show you the lies. When them back up people, we hear this.
More so to believe our view than the opposite view contended, that Manley's ultimate aim is to take Jamaica into the Cuban orbit and to transform the society into a Cuban-type society. They have, in fact, implemented many of the types of institutions that are necessary for the transformation. Training programs. We have, for instance, some 1,000 Jamaican youths that have now been trained in Cuba under a program that is...
After work, for do natural work, Not follow them, coming people go there. You matter about bigger than 1,000. If you have hundreds of thousands and millions of youth, we don't want to change 1,000 and 1,000 for come and spread. Communists. Jamaica, you only train 1,000. That don't make no sense. And why they send them go training to them, the Cuban come and train him? I'll be a garbage in the tax in the 70s. Him a destruction, All right, continue.
Come to be known as the Brigadista program.
Garbage.
Because the purpose of the program is to set up Marxist-Leninist brigades to return to Jamaica to indoctrinate the peasant people and the working class people.
The relationship with Cuba arises partly because Cuba is our closest neighbor, partly because Jamaica has always had a friendship that is traditional, really. With Cuba, it goes back into the 19th century. We find that we both share a deep commitment to the liberation process. We take a similar view of, we took a similar view of Nicaragua. We take a similar view of South Africa. We took a similar view of Ian Smith.
Do you take a similar view of America?
No, I don't think we take a similar view of America. I think they have, of course, a very unusual and painful experience.
Do you think that your support of Dr. Castro and a certain number of his causes, that having Cubans here, has helped to antagonize the United States towards Jamaica?
Well, first of all, I've never supported Dr. Castro and his causes. I have discovered points where we have similar causes. We share causes. I don't support his causes, nor he mine for that matter. But that the relationship has contributed to and been the cause of strain with the United States, of that there's no question. It's a matter of principle.
Why did you do it? I mean,
because it is a matter of principle. Because to me it is an absolute matter of principle, and it isn't negotiable, and it will never be, no matter what price is paid. It is not negotiable for me to believe that a small country has to determine its policy by reference to what some powerful neighbor feels.
Comrades, all I can say, the international community has been run by the big powers for hundreds of years, and where are we? Where are we?
upsetting Jamaica's powerful neighbour seems to have been a Manley speciality. When he came to power in 1972, he moved into head-on conflict with the interests of American big business. Bauxite is big business. It's the raw material from which aluminium is made. It's only found in a handful of countries, and Jamaica has 2 billion tons of it. Before Manley came to power, the entire Jamaican bauxite industry was controlled by 6 North American companies. The country's greatest natural asset belonged to someone else. The Jamaicans received only a pittance in royalties, about $40 million a year. After they were elected, Manley's government began to negotiate with the bauxite companies, and after fierce resistance began to buy into the industry, mainly by compulsory purchase. 2 years later, Jamaica was paying for a 51% controlling interest, and her revenue from bauxite had gone up to $200 million a year.
That agreement creates a new and, we believe, historic partnership between the company and Jamaica.
He also formed the International Bauxite Association, a producers' cartel similar to OPEC in the oil industry. It was to ensure that poor countries got the maximum revenue from one of their few natural resources. But more significantly, it was the first time that Manley, using his socialist principles, went into action against American huge corporations and won.
Let's remember that wherever imperialism works, the people must unite to defeat it.
In the eyes of some Americans, Manley had also threatened the security of the United States. Aluminium is used to build warplanes and rockets, and control of bauxite now lies outside America.
You hear that? Some threaten them. He not threaten them. A man in a mash up the country. The country, when the man come in, when the man come in for the first 10 years, I'll be a corruption. Them do all kind of things. Jamaica never start move. I move Jamaica. See? The first 10 years are independence. It never move. Them stuck it. Them come move Jamaica. Change it up and make you think out of the box, a matter of fact. Yeah, the man say, you know, education, they say we put education first. See? Propagandist them, man. Yeah, next Monday.
I'm always a little amused by the suggestion that the thing, for instance, that really frightened people was socialism. It's not what frightened people. What frightened people in Jamaica was that there was a group who had a great life for a long time. They'd been very privileged. And they had found ways for years never to pay their taxes, to make no contribution.
Yeah. When they come show up some face, you have to settle them right also. Have to settle them. Yes. When they come show up some face, you have to settle them. Me see me I settle them and when me look me some books, we put them up back. We put them up back. Yes. See? Me see which one me did have after that now. Or me did that one there already. I want them to do? Okay. Circle them.
I'm always a little amused by the suggestion that the thing, for instance, that really frightened people was socialism. That's not what frightened people. What frightened people in Jamaica was that there was a group who had had a great life for a long time. They'd been very privileged. And they had found ways for years never to pay their taxes, to make no contribution to the development of a just society. And before we declared the democratic socialism, we had begun to address the problem of privilege, the gap between the rich and the poor. We had started to introduce wealth taxes to get at people who had very skillfully avoided income taxes for many years. And we had begun land reform, redistribution of land, and there were all the objective signs of the first attempt to build an egalitarian society, which begins with the dismantling of the citadels of privilege. And, for instance, the migration from Jamaica predated the declaration of...
You see what man did right there, sir? You see what name? Continue.
Democratic socialism.
And the people them with them black out, don't it? I him that long tongue one it, the long tongue go black out yesterday, the Protestant and Portia. Eh? Very out I don't. Alright.
But naturally, once democratic socialism was declared, it provided a convenient label.
Yeah. See? And them black out yesterday, don't. But here's what you. Them in black out the other day. Now no respect, man. No respect. See? The mayor tell you say them a destroyer, man. Continue.
Is very, very fundamental to us. It's a non-negotiable item on our agenda. We start from certain positions of principle. 1, Cuba is our nearest neighbor. 2, Cuba is a member of the third world like us. 3, Cuba fights at our side for changes in the world economic system. 4, we find Cuba the most principled country to deal with. They operate on a basis of respect for sovereignty and non-interference in other people's internal affairs. They have an internationalist policy that if you say to them, come and be my friend, we think you have certain skills that are interesting. We think you've done certain things that are interesting. We would like to have a look at what you've done. Would you like to cooperate with us in a field? They say, fine. If you don't want to cooperate, they say fine. We have long since understood that they are on a particular path of development that is obviously massively supported by their people and which is a product of their objective circumstances. Their revolution arose out of the horrors of one of the worst tyrannies the world had ever known. And a lot of their experience is conditioned by that fact. We are a totally different thing. We had a different kind of society, different traditions. We had a functioning plural democracy. And we're on what we call our democratic socialist path of development, which has certain points of similarity with theirs, but very substantial points of difference with theirs, and we respect each other. But even more important than all of that, and this is what is non-negotiable to us, Cuba is a legitimate part of the world and this hemisphere. And it has one of the most legitimate governments in the world because legitimacy is a function of popular support and nothing else. Nothing else legitimizes except people. And no country, in our view, no country has the right to impose sanctions upon Cuba or any other country that has legitimacy. To us, therefore, it is non-negotiable that Cuba must be accepted as a full, free, and untrammeled member of the world community and the hemispheric community.
And if that is not so, we can't make it so. I don't say this in arrogance. I'm talking about what we stand for, not what we can make happen. But what we stand for, we will not move over and we'll pay any price for. And, you know, looking at it from a practical point of view, you could say this. If you can do that to Cuba because somebody doesn't like the Cuban Revolution, then how do I know that you don't do that to me tomorrow? Because you don't like something that I do.
Would you say then that this is a reason why you are dissatisfied with the absence of sanctions against South Africa while there are sanctions against Cuba?
It does not. Well, I'm not an easy person to embitter, but that makes me as near to bitter as anything in the contemporary world. It's something that I said in Maputo, actually, at a conference to which I was invited this year, that it really is a tragic commentary on human values in the world, that there are still sanctions against this really very brave and brilliant social and human experiment which is taking place in Cuba. Even if you don't agree with the methodology, it's a remarkable experiment. And you can leave sanctions against that country and apply not one sanction. Well, they're now talking about an arms embargo, but not one economic sanction against the ultimate leper of the international community, South Africa.
True matter, that one, not one, against South Africa. Man will stand up for the country and build the country and say, I go say, the thing them when they build, the school them when they build and they, you know, everything them put in the school them, they health care and one of them thing them say, a sign of Marxist. Leninist Marxist thing I believe. Communist. Man, they have been a communist regime. Not never go say no. Not never go say. And then I want to know, run out and I tell you, in the 70s, a matter of fact, see me, and them say them blast him. I want to him said it, that's why I see long tongue go do what I do. Hear this. Hear this.
Made by Prime Minister Andrew Holness on the late Michael Manley has awakened the fury of the People's National Party, which is claiming that the Prime Minister is trying to change Jamaica's history. The Prime Minister had made the statement at the recent launch of the JLP's National Scholarship Program.
The departure from course during this period of industrialization and industrial development was not due to external forces. It was due to the misadventure of the PNP.
You hear how nasty and stink? People, if the man take away the backside and you see international people come and tell us for the first time, man, they do it on one. You hear him say? A PNP and external forces. This is a theme thing when come push up people. Him can't get no respect from me, you know. Him for charge for treason. When your country no could stay, little boy Talawa, and you stand up to external forces and him use these words, not my word. Him not supposed to be in a prime minister, boy, I'm sure charge for treason long time. You understand him? Misled people in a Jamaica. This are evil. All people listen to him. Number one, you shouldn't even vote for him. So him are one of them. Him a sell out of a country, you know. Him not patriotic. By just the word out time out. Him not patriotic. Let me play it back. You what I'm saying? You tell?
The fury of the People's National Party, which is claiming that the Prime Minister is trying to change Jamaica's history. The Prime Minister had made the statement at the recent launch of the JLP's National Scholarship Program.
The departure from course during this period of industrialization and
industrialization, people. Departure from the course. So what him saying now? In the 60s, the same course where you could go in a bank to work, you never have no housing, you have bastard, what them call bastard, you know, woman have no rights, you don't have nothing there, so, and then you have to make them stay up there and control the backside and control the sugar and control everything. He said the departure from that at the PNP in the 70s. And mass up the country. That out of him out. Unforgivable. This guy not supposed to in front of nobody's face. Yes, still, them have scrape and build big house all over the place. That's why they do the place, so, you know. We don't know who listen to him. Him study Manley, yes, still a combo, ya tackle Manley, nothing him and that boss. That's the international statesman. You little punk. You never know that. Mandela too. Castro and these people. You know, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X. Can we know great people, you know? We study great people. See? You understand? You have some great visionary, you have some other great people like Madame Teresa and, you know, for them own rights. Bishop Tutu. And then people, so you have some great people out there, you know. Great people who stand up for them country and stand up for the Third World Alliance. And a matter of fact, you have a great woman right now going in Barbados. Me and Motley. Yeah, man, like man, the student, man. She stand up and talk to them too, you know. Portia, great lady. Mama P, great man. See? You understand? Yeah, man. PG himself. Next one turn. This year, should have charged the treason. Unforgivably, yeah? So I one of them run out to the foolishness. Remember, just listen again. Not my word. You murder.
The People's National Party, which is claiming that the Prime Minister is trying to change Jamaica's history. The Prime Minister had made the statement at the recent launch of the JLP's National Scholarship Program.
The departure from course during this period of industrialization and industrial development was not due to external forces. It was due to the misadventure of the PNP, which diverted us from the path of economic growth.
Now the opposition leader,
and convert from the path of economic growth.
Dr. Peter Phillips is not mincing words, expressing disappointment over the speech, saying Holness was seeking to criticize Michael Manley's legacy.
Maybe Holness doesn't understand the whole reality of the global economy, and one could possibly excuse him for that. But not to understand Jamaica's own history or to misrepresent it, there's no excuse that we can accept.
Dr. Phillips is questioning whether Holness wants to remove a legacy that has crafted Jamaica for what it is today.
Is it that they want to discard the gains made by the Status of Children's Act that ensured that no bastard no there again?
Experts are also of the view that Manley created a foundation that has benefited many and should not be discredited for his work. Khadija Thomas, CVM.
You say Motada. You see that's what I say you can't listen to Anjo. Then him say man come back now. And say man explain this. Now I play it back. Show me have number one. You can't have my respect, no sir. Remember play Bruce. After him say that no, remember play him after him say that this is what him say now. Yeah. Listen him what him say. You see him flip flop?
A story.
I one thing with Manley, you know, and one thing with me. When me know is right, I may stand up for that. Me no in that flip flop thing there. You know, we pay price and me I really get up, so me no back off for some things. No. You understand? Me move forward with it. If you know a foolishness, don't say the foolishness and then you back off and flip flop. You got hear what him gonna say no. Remember this industry the if you create this and the PMP do this, and you still hear him flip flop or you believe in something like this. Or him to be a prime minister. Jamaica will not joker. A matter of fact, him a drive down the JLP right now. Me say something about him, I got change up. Him no know say him a the biggest liability. I tell you, let me tell him, him a the biggest liability on the JLP party right now. And him a go like him no know. The whole of them know say him a the biggest liability. Can them have him up there and say yes, him a this and that time I drive down the whole party. Him. Him everybody stuck on you know. So when the rest could have peeped through a door, him are the biggest liability on the JLP right now. Him are them destruction. Him are them destruction. And him continue down that way. Hear him now. Remember that speech I make? That's why I like have them. Him can't tell me nothing. Number one, if you believe in your speech and you did correct, you can't come and flip it. And say the man great now. And the man this or the man that. That's why I tell you say it start from him. That's why the guy go black out. PJ and Blackout Portia, that the Kalangton guy. You understand? Hear this.
And this is a true story.
True story, hear this.
Today is my birthday, the 22nd of July, 1972 is the year I was born. I'm certain that Mr. Bunting knows the significance of that year very well. That is the year Michael Manley won the elections. In February of that year, I believe. And I was born in July. My father was elated by the victory of Michael Manley. Because, like you and many other Jamaicans, he felt that the message of liberation, of political empowerment, which is described in our vernacular as the Semitization of our country, that was necessary coming out of colonialism. It was necessary to shake off the colonial mindset.
So if it was necessary, why did I go and make that speech? For the political mileage, so you have to fling a real statesman. Number one, you're not a statesman. You're not a statesman. Fling a statesman and that boss. You know, it's a be a foreigner come interview Monday all over this and what have you, and everybody's like, Monday and Jamaica and America fall out. America, the great America. Eh? Mr. When Trump win, me see him there exit, you know. Then put him inside that toilet, you know. They put him inside that toilet, inside that exit. Like them are fling him out and I'm sitting like a puppy dog and like him tail. You know see him, right? Yeah. You know do man the them thing there. Zane? You know do it. Him just do him have to do. Zane? In a them time that when even black people in America struggle in the 60s and the 70s, Mandela them lock him up in a them time the Mandela when Mandela them say, hey, we have a few other people them over there so too. Not just to Jamaica, but on a third world level. We are look on black people and the people them who struggle, and we are look on the imperialist them. But no want you to get up, you can't go certain place. It's like in a valley, it's like you're animal. Man, they change that. Even in Jamaica. Because I just the handful of them that control the thing, you know. Even in Jamaica can change it. Them never the clean never like Manley. Remember, Manley come from the upper class, you know, but him stay with the lower class. Him say come from the lower class, but you know, so who empower with. You can say you're ghetto and I tell people, me a ghetto, but yes, look how you live. That man you come from up yourself never even need to do him I do. But him stay with them people and change it for the betterment. When them a live off of that, the house and the thing where I cut and bought him and give a 1-1. How we set it up the Manley? The thing them where I live off the part where them a talk about and the tourist settlements, whatever the man they set it up, a PJ, a Portia. Where them a live off of right now, pay a blueprint. And him come and him say it too, no. Him are the best baby father for ideas. Him implement. Now blueprint him a work off, him not do nothing. Not nothing for himself. Nothing. Nothing. Church has a treason. And now him come and attack this after you just fling Monday under the bus. But you come back and that's what I'm telling you, it's a flip-flapper. Because if you should have stand by what you say. And now come tell you about colonialists. Your man they tell you about the colonial past and them have to put the thing them to the people and land with farm do this. I'm at a fact when I walk and I capture the people them land right now. I take back the land I want to give them. The farm road, a man they cut them, you know. And I tell people. They never did that, you know. A man they cut them and build them. Yeah, man. You tell you the amount of farm road and the amount of thing we him do. Same? It's unbelievable. Now you hear him? All right. Here you know. Finish listening. You saw quick him flip flop. That's why you know say not real. Because if something that come out of your mouth, you have to make sure you're real. You do your right study, you say the right things, that you have to come flip flop it. You understand? You play political football like Seaga, but you're worse than him. You understand? Bandy make black people have pride in Jamaica. Yeah.
And to see ourselves as independent people. Michael Manley said that we will walk on our 2 feet and not on our knees. I, Andrew Michael Holness, firmly believes in that. So when I was born, my father insisted on my mother that my name should be Michael. If he had his way, things may have turned out differently. But my mother insisted that my name should be Andrew, a faithful disciple. And I am here as Andrew Michael. When
I do, try and pay the people they made. So I put the Michael, enough more people named Michael, but one Michael Manley. So you know enough more people named Michael. Most people we know named Michael. So I want to take him name Andrew Michael. You know you have a middle name, right? Him name Andrew Michael. And if them never next to him the name Michael Andrew. So he want to put himself now and him firmly believe in that. But if he firmly believe in something, why you that say? The man mash up the place from gain this and that. Yes, still the place couldn't move. The school them will build, couldn't build. Certain things gonna set. You're not afraid the case and go right up. Not for them doctors and nurses and professors, they won't even they bought because they never have no money for pay nothing. Man, they bust the chain and make the big boy them pay some more taxes for them back the cliques. And tell about the yo-yo and the cliques them. But this now flip-flop now that them firmly believe and walk on our feet and colonialism. That's why you know say I'm not good. Because you come and make a speech where you back pan same time when the people them come out and say, oh, he's a piece of crap. You know, him should have charged treason. Oh, this be a prime minister. Him at the worst, him at the worst thing, you know. At the lightest thing too, you know. And flip-flopper, you know. Say, me I tell you that. Straight. That's why you say me, man in the wilderness, no, in a wilderness. You stop treat the people that want flip-flop. Keep it real. Don't tell them life again. You think it's a political thing again when him do that. When you attack a man like Manley. Yeah, man. Andrew. Yeah, man. Andrew incompetent. Incompetence. Yes. AI. He's my AI. Andrew incompetence. Shane? Yeah, man. So right now you have to tell us, Manley great. But another thing they go tell the people them say. And if them look through you, it seems like come born in a one room, then 2 room, or you believe that's Manley like this. You know, see, he's a flip-flopper. When I tell you a long time, so I'm at the slippers, you know, the people them that way will don't up them heel back, man. A flip-flopper, man. Saying? So him jumping or something, and feel saying, Papa, them could I get over with it. You have to blast him. Now we not stop blasting because it's not easy. You understand? You're a true statesman. But the whole world look at. And same at destroy. Same, you can't destroy Manley. What Manley do, you can't move it. As a matter of fact, you live on the housing trust like a tick spread up and dog back. Yeah, man. Ticks! Like a ticks. Eh? And want to use that and gain. But you build the most houses like somebody running a competition with. I'm not going to say no. 15,000 to a man they are building in 4 years. Like more than 40,000 houses. People don't have no money to buy a house now. Him going to take out 100 billion to pop up the same thing with them talk about no new taxes, the budget. Yeah. Take what people and do all kind of things to them. Yeah? Tell them I use the police to mash up the people, them pay those on state of emergency. Whoever do this. Eh? Him alone could make us sleep with the window and door open. See? So him firmly believe in that. Yeah.
I heard the furor created when I did not call my godfather's name. And a man who I respect and study his work and believe still in his mission.
You believe in our mission, then you come out and you study work. Because you study, that's why you said from poverty to prosperity, because you hear this word from Manley. I'm not from poverty. From poverty to we don't know, you know, because what's the poverty now? You understand? And they reach out to turn up on the people then. And not to prosperity. Prosperity through. You hear him? And believe in our mission and study work. But you see man say the man fail. I'll mash up the place. Where you know say a lie. And it's not outside forces when everything is right here. Can we can't play the American, them are talking up, make up them face. But they may have them. They have the video of them. From the State Department and everything. It is there. Remember, boy, I'm not understand, you see? I'm going to tell them this. You see things like these? Remember, you have CIA fax book, and then you have the tape and things. These things documented because enough TV station involved and everything come talk to him and do them thing. So you find out so that certain years, over much decades, they're going to release things. And then release about the CIA because I have that too, you know. They release it. See? So him can rewrite history where recorded, documented. You can't rub it out. So I better you know come and say something to get your feet say, hey, making popularity, you know. He's not popular, man. He's not popular, none at all, man. If he never understand how people them no in him that just take himself away. Because right now him draw down the JLP, you know. He don't know that, you know. What you think, all right? If him did popular, kind of talk about me turn it up, and I take it up and turn it up. Why you think him have to come out 2 o'clock in the morning and wake up people and them a complain to me? Why? So when the best run out upon him a draw down the JLP government completely. Him and him wife right now. Ask anybody and Nigel Clark right under that. Then you have Terry Langton depend on the list. One of them depend on the list, you know. But may I tell you who are the heaviest weight on the JLP Andrew Holness and him wife. Run through the diaspora, run through Jamaica, run through the whole place. Him are the heaviest burden on the JLP right now. And them not see it, you know. I can tie them and them things, and nobody feed them, both of them are the same thing, you know. But him are the heaviest burden. Tell me, I tell him. It come like him, no know. So in a film thing popular, you never have to come out and explain to nobody. You can't flip-flop. You know flip-flop on Monday. See? Era Bruce have to come out, come say. And I talk about time Godfather. And him still believing in the mission. Era Bruce say no. Yeah. Listen this.
And anyone else since Marcus Mozaragabi must be credited for raising the political conscience.
You hear this? Hear this again.
Michael Manley, more than anyone else since Marcus Mozaragabi, must be credited for raising the political consciousness of the Jamaican people and motivating them to political action. He was a man who refused to accept things as they were and was unapologetic in his pursuit of change. His concern for the welfare of Jamaica led him to an appreciation of the
So a man concerned for the welfare of Jamaica, like what Bruce said. Oh, you don't mash up the place when you give the people them this freedom. When you couldn't go to the traditional high school, when it's I'm at the first common entrance or something, and go. It made the clique them bad because I feel them pick me, I go there, for them pick me more syrup shoulder with your own. We don't have no way, you don't live, you don't have no way, you don't even sleep in a good bed. Them time I carry a mattress, them time I bed spring. You remember bed spring where we take out and make bingy where we can shoot bird with? You remember we take out the little, remember bed spring, man? And panel bed. Remember them, don't it? Your mattress, I can't make it. Remember them? You know, with the spring in it and then the kaya and thing. When if a spring buck in your bed, it juke you. You go to the country and go here and take place and you go in a bed and juke you. All them use, some of them have the bed spring, but them just use cloth and make up some, you know, cardboard and cloth and that to make up a bed. You remember? Michael, come change up the thing, man. See? Eh? You matter the political consciousness. Change up the thing. You Bruce.
He was a man who refused to accept things as they were and was unapologetic in his pursuit of change. His concern for the welfare of Jamaica led him to an appreciation of the intricate international economic and political relationships and the way in which they impacted on Jamaica's fortunes. His untiring efforts to change those relationships earned him international recognition and made his an authoritative voice in important councils around the globe.
Around the globe, that's true. That's true. So if you do like a Bruce to attack the truth, you attack the bases again, you attack a Manley. You build so much people now in your man, it's unbelievable. Right away. I think what I'm saying now, you know, him can play at the people them head and them tell him say you're popular and him wife 20 years and you have some people believe it. And me I tell him same no popular come see the next thing and see this yeah. Both him gonna change up what? You understand? Change what? Yes, brother.
Manley, more than anyone else since Marcus Mozart-Garvey, must be credited for raising the political consciousness of the Jamaican people and motivating them to political action. He was a man who refused to accept things as they were and was unapologetic in his pursuit of change. His concern for the welfare of Jamaica led him to an appreciation of the intricate international economic and political relationships and the way in which they impacted on Jamaica's fortunes. His untiring efforts to change those relationships earned him international recognition and made his an authoritative voice in important councils around the globe.
Okay. Boy, you want to me attack too, you know. And me attack too, I forgot say, you know, me not take it off of mute. Yeah, man, me good. All right. So the tri-bridge. The tri-bridge, we just video this. Yeah, since we're there, and we just video it before we come on here. Because I know me have correspondent all over the place. Right? So maybe just video the tri-bridge we more show now. Right now. You see? No man, sound up back no man. Yeah, man. Minute pause it can talk to our next correspondent within the JCF just now. Yeah. So yes. Remember I have be a correspondent like NC, like CNN and BBC and you know me there everywhere, you know, me at the win, you know. So let me show the tri-bridge just now. See? Yeah, as I said before, Andrew, you are the FDS with the JLP. A JLP if you carry and it can't carry itself because it can't. And people, don't make him chicken, you know. Because you make terrible long tongue come out face, I know you know open your mouth. No, you understand? You know open your mouth, I know. See? You don't get back the sound yet. You get back the sound? You get back the sound? Yeah? Yeah, man. Patrice, you don't get back the sound yet? My sound up, man. Come here, me get back my sound, man. Sound supposed to come up back, man. Hold on there. Hold on. Oh, that me I say. Me sound up, man. Me sound up. All right, so me just send and me just do the tri-bridge. More want to see the tri-bridge. Because me just do it now, we know. You hear the time and everything, and me just make sure, you know. But me just show now the tri-bridge stay. Because Andrew, let's say them are fix and this around 5 years the people them are wait. They may try to tell us, Andrew, you know, easy and not all. Tri-bridge. Let me give them a rundown, you know. Because I remember me have correspondent all over the place. Look on this. Look here.
Lonesome, look here. So I try bridge in 227, April 18. Right there, so look there. No, no, there, so the man.
I'm going to stop with it. Unless it's 2:45 now. So I tell you what time I do it. I tell you so we just do it. You see? We're still in the 2:27 this. This to 2:27. And at 2:45 now. That's 17 minutes ago, right? I may have it from then in the 2:27. Like because of 2:27, like 2:30, something early. Can be there for video it. See, me look on it first, say video it, I'm a video it, then me show, you know? Can remember we have correspondent right about in a live. Watch out.
Yo, lonesome, look here. So I try bridge in a 2:27, April 18. Right there, so look there. No there, so the man them wicked now know the try bridge not free. Cut off from the community. Yeah? Look there. I mean, I go down here, show you. Go down to the tree trunk where they cut and make. I'll see this on YouTube later. Yeah. This is where the people them walk. They go down on the other side. They cut off from Manchester. While was some them wicked, man. Look there. Yeah, see there? I know they're not fix it there. See the tree tomb for them make for the people them cross over the other side. And it's dangerous. Look at that. One side. It's dangerous, man. A bamboo. To hold on to one side to go over. This cut off from Chilani to Manchester. Till now.
So people still have to drive go around, you know. Go there.
And now we're Andrew Honest, I mean they're doing.
So,
Yo,
the other day when I do the budget, me think them say, the other day when I do the budget, me think them say them immediately go move. And we are say them no move. Because anybody them say them move, you know, me can't zero upon them, you know. Now play with me around there, you know. See that? Look. You can't zero upon you, man. See that? See? So that them have a class now, you see it? Yes. See there? Cut off and 5 years, no, 5 years cut off. You know.
Bridge, Chai Bridge. God, I know government no come look on it. That wicked man, them man. And see makeshift bridge that long this way they make. It's a community cut off from the rest.
Yep. Yeah, but it can be because the PMP constituency. Remember, everybody live in that place, a Jamaican, you know. Remember, you know, when it comes to tax, you know, you say a PMP or GLP or whatever, you know. When it comes to security, you know, you say PMP and GLP, you know. When them send out police to come mash up people, hey, them to stop that foolishness, you know. See, people are people. A country can't run so. You see, you run in a politics to try to make the place better, not to make it worse. Yeah. Yeah. You run in a politics, try to make it better, not to make it worse. But for them style this. For them style this. You understand? Yeah, this is for them style. Yeah, and then them get chat. And when it come near to election now, them come fix something. And then get it. I remember here so much people stand up out there. Them look like they're gonna work. Them get wrong count, them get wrong thing, them do all kind of little things, and them now move the country forward. The big boy, them are right, you know, because them are living in a paradise right now. As long as Andrew can please them, him feel say yes, them can't keep me. Them money can't keep it, and nobody them are gonna have their money, and them are gonna vote against you. And them are gonna video when you complete this time. Them definitely are come video it. And una as soon as say, no care who you sell, you send, we connect to you because we're gonna know who. We want to make sure the people them video on and say that you want to give me. Because we have a candid camera this time, man. What I want, man. Done with you, man. Mash up a country, man. This is a joke. So Terry Langton now, you after you have some people who fight to keep the place up. Here comes Terry Langton with him bag of foolishness. Eh? Terry Langton, you with the bag of foolishness and disrespect. Eh? Nobody can respect you, man. To what other man? See? Then you come with this. Because show you where you come with and we have to burn it. And we not stop burning, you know. Because you for resign. You for resign. You're no minister, nothing at all, you know. You're just a crisis, you know. What Patrick Bailey grow, you know. You're nothing but a crisis where Patrick grow. You understand? Terry Langton, Terry. Yeah. You just a crisis where Patrick Bailey grow. See? So this way you come with, we have to burn it. Man, them come set some things and you come and post them that was there. You come across this, people you out and it's look there. With this punk. Yeah? Go on over UK and go do, you know. Him put up highlights of positive achievement. Positive achievement of our government. Of our government as we look forward to welcome the diaspora June the 16th to the 19th. This is how we run them way. Now, him black out. No make him tell you nothing. Yeah? Him black out PJ Patterson and Poacher Simpson because them up there so you know you have the past prime ministers them, right? And him leave them two there. Two devil. Right? One more than one. And see this? And him do it also. Again. Anything we post for them thing, you know, say, I them post it. Now you got diaspora where you have a lot of people where you know I say PMP, some say JLP, some say no P, some say Jamaica still. And okay, when them say Jamaica. This now, they ain't getting anybody. Him forget fire at the same time. But I bet you, Andrew now move him. Because remember, you know, no better Erin, no better barrel. Two of them are the same thing. So when the heat come on, because I see it, we get fire yesterday, you know. You understand? See it, him start blame a team. But me and Maria are deal with this later, you know. But me have to come talk about it right now. So the paper take it up, because me have it, and me wait till this morning to come mash it up. But me and Maria can talk about it later on. Junior Foreign Affairs Minister Terry Langton says a member of his team was responsible for posting a photo to his Instagram account with images of former MP, Prime Ministers PJ Patterson and Poacher Simpson cover. He said it was not in keeping with my style. Now, your account. And everything where you do, you see it. Can you come up on your phone and everything. Even if you have somebody where moderate your account or something, administrate your account. A theme account. And not until we pick up the nastiness, him do this. Can you imagine the effect when it's around the world? The sun go show you say, these people do gutter politics. And not the first. With the Queenie in there, so I said the man will get shot now, man, from the IC. Say him did a look work at the ministry. Well qualified, but the Jamaica public must know that him was an advisor to Peter Phillips. So make it sound like Peter Phillips, to be an advisor to Peter Phillips. The Jamaica public, like him attack to PJLP. Remember, yes. People. Jamaica public for know, and them now hide the corruption for work. So when they put up a picture with Porsche hugging, this not work. This a nastiness. This a total disrespect. The former prime ministers. In the world, this Sheikh Andrew, boy Andrew got to do it. Andrew himself a nastiness. Straight up. That's why me not angle him pretty. Andrew, I have no class. Him not, and then him have some no class with him. You remember him trying to push down Sir Manley, you know. International figure, you know. So you know, so I have no deals and part with Andrew, you know. You understand? Yeah, man. I was advised a story posted by one of my team members with access to my social media. Hear this. With access to your social media. Nothing keeping with my style of posting. I was instructed to remove all story posted to the account immediately. Them have instruct him. And I have since removed him from access to all my social media account. This a liar impossible. And even if you have a team member, that means no team member go and punish. I aim them for punish. You not hear from the Prime Minister not yet. Them are garbage. This is an embarrassment to Jamaica. This a call that there. Them are that there. They with them nastiness. Look upon this. Look upon these people. Them are unforgivable, yeah? This is how them fling out to the world. And then push up Andrew, non-caring Andrew and I care for nobody at all but himself. And them big house and the big boys, them. Come in and the oligarchs, them. They mash up the place. And you see him there foreign and this is what put up. Him watch everything we put up, by the way. You see him? Stink him stink. Yeah, man. So me talk straight to them and I go run kind of like that, you know, man. They just say, hey, pay the price. Talk your mind. We like talk your mind. That's why, you know, it good. It's good like where you have a man like me in the wilderness now, now for the pan them radio and them TV again and thing with them that most of them for talk my mind. Come have to talk my mind, you know. Me not play hypocrite role, you know. Me not Anjo. Anjo attack, so man, we can't Anjo. And then I'm gonna tell them the truth, you know. Me tell them the truth. You don't do that. See? And say about Jamaica and attack and I use party like him think people are listening to him and them think. Why you think him have to wake up people to them bed 2 o'clock in the morning? 2:30 the panel and so what time for no go on bed? Eh? When you look him going up in the bar that carrying and thing, when me look me get it on my phone. Say Andrew, you make nice away there, you know. Same way. And I like people run out to him, you know. Him treat them with clocks already. People hungry. When you play it from left to right, people hungry. Him come and tell be a lie. Him say people get paid to come up on Black Road. When you look the people them road no good, nobody in around them, people get paid. And them alone pay people, you know, man. You understand? Them do everything to court the game. Everything. See? Them have no, let me tell you this. For you see them go build a court port and nobody no get charged. I know me not see the big boy going to prison, you know. See? Them have a me now, a PMP me down in Kingston and St. Andrew Corporation. Them are fighting backside because they don't want him audit them. Them see 80 million when them just take out of the place. The one they were full him crown, the one of them. You understand? So the one of them down there do a kind of fight because they must see some things for them to down there. But when I understand, even if they're down there, you are going to lose, you have to move on and then people are audit it. People now, you can't just take it up and run it so. You have to audit everything I know you have. Don't play with them. You have to audit everything. You have to look through every books and say everything and make them pile it up. Don't let them go. So them put him there, they matter about this and that. Move him out. He matter about committee and they move out of a committee. Then the government move the opposition out of some committee with them that led. With them that editing. Yeah? So you want a balance that, you know, you see corruption and everything. Do set up that why Andrew move them and put film on people them. Them are just push for one thing one side. You understand? You see me I say? Them out of the man. See? Yeah. So these are the things I may try to show you. Them thing around. This one total wrong. Yeah? Great man like Sir Manley will come and set the thing and, you know, to make life better for people and everything and make them use some things. And when you look at them man there, him did a try fling on the bus and then come back at about the man great. And I 100% and believe in him still. So you go and go tell the people them bag of foolish shit. That's why them can't believe in you because you flip flop and you liar too. You're dangerous. You do anything. You do answer anything because you think so you could have just chat and people are just take a chat. No! Man, they say we're for first in study. So we study a lot of things. Even in man they were for study. Can say first in study and we see what him that do. So we keep it, let's keep it real around here. So you can't trick nobody. Me are one of the man who can't go in a medina. Me. You don't know so I not take talking, none talk. You understand? You don't know say this will take that. Me not what you talk about. You don't know say when they can't even put meat. So me not. You understand? What are this foolish? What are this a garbage? You understand? Garbage. So this is a lesson for people learning and know say, hey, the man we did have people and the country in art, in banning the privilege, but him come down there. So a matter of fact, let me just hear what the man say, right? That's not true. Hear this. Hear this. Sir Manley, salute you. You understand? And you student then where they run here, who? I see him Patterson and Portia. And them come out up some things, and when you look at who I try discredit them. Look who I try discredit them. Very out order. You man to say so. You a Sir man to say yeah.
I have altered the balance of power in Jamaica in favor of the black and the poor, and I have no apologies to history. You walk with a pride today you never had before.
You never have it before. Hey, and I simple this, you know. I'm altered for you in favor of the black and the poor. When you see a man get up and do this, I'm a pretty this time here, Jamaican, 100% Jamaican. I'm a pretty this time here, in born up as I'm never hungry. But him come walk with you and do this. I want to know same band amongst you, so. You know, have nothing but yesterday in power with the big boys, the man stepping at people picking neck. Fear, you know. Protect film son them but stepping at other people picking neck.
Labourers, hear me! I have altered the balance of power in Jamaica in favor of the black and the poor, and I have no apologies to history.
None.
You walk with a pride today you never had before because of my work, and nothing will turn that back in Jamaican history. Nothing will turn it back.
Play it again. And here where the man alter the balance in favor and when I take for the people them land and do all kind of things back to them. Now hear that boy.
Hear me! I have altered the balance of power in Jamaica in favor of the black and the poor, and I have no apologies to history.
No.
You walk with a pride today you never had before because of my work, and nothing will turn that back in Jamaican history. Nothing will turn it back. Nothing will turn it back.
You see the people them I'm talk to. This man, you can't come out and say 1 cent. Remember we used to have a look at 1 cent. You can't come out and say, Manley, with this, he move 1 cent. You can't come out and say nothing about Sir Manley, you know. You understand? No. Him tell us them depend the farmer them 450,000 of them. You don't have so much farmer again. There's so much farmer we used to have. And them depend the hillside of scratch like them have goat. And take them down and give them land. And it burn the creeks and in the business. With land, with farm. And then build the house for them sugar worker. Because I remember say at the sugar plantation, picnic them, the generation them didn't own it, you know. Take up some of them there. So when we see them come divest it out, boost them and Andrew them finish divest it out with Shakur, Scotty and them people there. You know? And think the father, what name? Them name, the one they think the father man, they don't know the school. The fear father can divest some to, you know, to China and them bring them here, them are not talk about sugar land. Listen, one man in 1982, he talk about land, in come and take 1,500 acre sugar plant, you know. Me have the paper, you know. In 1982, that for sure, from a long time, them take for the sugar. When man they take from them themselves start thief after the 80 election. 82, them man they have them name for over 1,500 acre land. When pay $1 for $1 for 1,000, one and a half acre. Because $1,000 pay for everything, you know. 1,000 Jamaican for the whole 1,500 acre. Plus, him have other land all over the place. And they make it sit down there by 94 put him picnic them on it. So they are defend it. And then who vote for them picnic? No, man. People have to wake up, man. You understand? You have to wake up. You have to wake up. You see? You can't listen to Andrew. Andrew, you have a smart better skill, but you know, you're dangerous to society. Very dangerous. You ever hear anything out of man? You notice on an international level when them come to talk to him, you ever see them international people come to go talk to him? Andrew? See what of them go talk to man, they home. Then fly and find him. You know much of them go interview him? Like America and Jamaica and Hawaii. Them never in himself in a war, I mean, I walk on my knee. Kissinger fly down there and I chop to Manley. They were secretary of state, this, everybody are fly down. Man did a business about that. Man, they do him have to do. The backside, bad of them. Farmer third world alliance with other backside countries and say, no, I forget more for this. When things over there in them country there and things raise, you can't say nothing, you just have to pay the price. Your thing now, you take your raw material for nothing and sell you back when they make the product, them sell you for 100 times. So I better develop your thing. You understand? It's a must. We believe in that. If you want to move a country, move the country forward. Study how the rest of the country run and get up. And you try to do something that your country get up to. You understand? You know, lose the resources. That are your human, resources. You don't want to lose them there. You train them up. You have the university and them thing that train them up. Make them give back to the country. The nurse, you shouldn't even charge them, If you have a system and the world need nurses and them thing, you have them people, the government should just stand that. And then you have to automatically give 5 years. So say 5 years to train them, it costs you. Say it costs you how much million for train them. Say it costs you $8 or $10 million for train one. Observe it. Yeah? So have them a train for 5 years and a $2 million a year. So you take that, you take it up. That charge is still, but just say it charge that you take it up. But when them do that, you sign something with them, because them get them pay now. You even if they don't want to go foreign, you have to give me 5 years in the hospital. You have to. You understand? This is the way it show you. If somebody that didn't know about you, so the country will lose the money. See? Yes. So you always have nurses, doctors to you train them up. And then if you train up the amount, like what Cuba train up, and then one some can go foreign, you make money after that same way. So my might but you never want to know. More than you have the professor them up there, you still take taxpayers money and give you, but you not train them up. A joke. Because money go up there, they might get billions up there. Say it around, but people still have to pay them money. You pay spend money up there, train them up. Yeah. I'll be even in fake again, but radam. You ever your man that about radam for the youth them? Man, they say the kids them, you have to put them in a place and do all kind of things. You have to make sure it's right. I believe in that. I believe in you kill off people, youth them now, sir. You have your own kids them and you want them prosper. You have to make sure people youth them are right to you want them same way. You want a better Jamaica, you come down and deal with people on a level. And right now, I tell them if them don't know, right now, Andrew are the biggest dead weight. He might the biggest weight to draw down the party. And him not see it don't matter about change. And listen, if you have beer ag, let me tell you again, if you have beer ag, a big old dirty pen full of hag, and you let them out and them go more down people, thing and people dog, do all kind of things, and you pen them up back and say, right, I'm going to change them, I'm going to build a couple more pen, I'm going to stir it from, put them one over that pen there, I'm going to put them one, I didn't see them them, man. You just put them in a different pen, it making a difference. I see them. And if them come and talk to you nice, we don't see them action already, there is nothing where them can do and say to you where you want this. Non-journalist. Same thing, it don't make no sense. So if him come and want to behave nice now, that don't make no sense. He'll behave nice to the whole 80. I'm at a fact when you come in. Man did not change, he never change. When him come in, him do a mission. You must say, well, I change this. Alter the balance. You can't anger poor people, so you can't do this to them. We are going to make them can work in anywhere else and go everywhere too. Them have a right. And them do it. Do it for the farm, and do it for the whole of the man, and do it for the crash program, man. And make sure your mother and your father, them even can't scratch them name and come in with Jamal. Them don't just ignore them neither. You can't too old for learn. Can you just set it up for the kids, them, And further, him set up for them too. See? Can I say, no, educated nation, a wealthy nation too, Yes. Same do the right thing. You have to take off your hat to that, Keep it real around here. So it's bad. It's bad when you're a man. This payment was a snake. He might fear to him, might fear a snake, he might everything. You understand? He might not read Prime Minister. You might talk about Radam. He might take out some word when him use it. He doesn't say unprecedented, but it's on Prime Ministership. Because you know use them word against people. And I call them terrorists too. I call the people them kid terrorists. Iman Crab. Come on and tell them to shoot them. Shoot, no call them in, no shoot them. Hospital, them run down where the people as they go to hospital, they're dead. You know, pick up for them people. And then him go tell the kids them in Manchester. And him tell them, say, yo, remember, so taxpayers money run this. We don't give no money for clean no garbage, not all, do this, do that, do this, do that. And you know, because one clean on that. Yeah? Yeah, man. And then when they get the thing, when them big all over the world, them keep it in them own pocket. Them not experience. When them a fly out, and do so much thing, you know. When them a fly, them not talk to the nation and say, listen, you know, I'm not going to be here. The man they in charge of government. Terry Langton not going to be here. Them just get up and fly as them want, like for them money, taxpayers money. Them carry them people, them with them and them friend and collaborate. You don't know how much money them spend. Them and not talk to Jamaica, none at all. You know, see a dictatorship around the place. It never used to run. So sometimes you see Porsche fly out, you hear the opposition, them come out. Who every minute she fly out. And every minute, you know, she gonna go be with the same thing like how they mash up the country. And she gonna go negotiate. Them fly out, and them this and that, and them not this, and them make a big stir about it. No. When them fly out, you know, them just fly out and turn up in our place. You don't even know. And the reason for that, because most of them cannot fly. Most of them is like them are criminal. Them don't have no visa for fly. Them cancel them. And the first never see, you know, a cabinet where most of them, you know, they see him Uncle Sam. They see him Uncle Sam where, you know, over there, so where they say, man, we don't like the policy and this and that, and, you know, the backside. But they never take chance, man, the book, man, they fly up there. They don't want them to stand, but the way you look now, them want to know, what going like them as man, the way you look, in front of their eye, them cancel them book. Cancel them can't fly, them can't do nothing. Them come up in a WikiLeaks, them all over the place, but them a member, them a minister. Where you get this from? People don't demand better than this. Demand better than this. The criminal country. Jamaica is a criminal country run by a criminal government. We need to clean it up. And then them blame the youth them for the criminality. The youth them not carrying over much $1 billion what a coke, you know. Uncle Sam me attack too, no. And UK and Canada. And the big boys, them oligarchs and the big boys and members of the government. Are them doing it? Them want it. Well, I think nobody not get locked up a coke port. A little youth name car up on a goat. Them run do people chop him up and police go shoot him. I see them parade him. Eh? I hear say him do this, him do that, but the coke port, we going to make an arrest. We just assign some papers. And I know them not call the name them. And them have the name in front of them because them are part of the police, them want to make the arrest. Them are part of the criminality too. In a Jamaica. It's a shit. Them and then them push the good police them one side. The whole place corrupted. It for clean. Them for go away. You understand? Me none of them. That's why when Marky G come up and for us a straight forensic all the time, we forget like a clean the police force too. Don't forget rid of that too, you know. You understand? Up on top dirty, them a politician. See some I get some camera yesterday. Day before yesterday. And them carry Google too. Because that's not commissioner, you know. Google too. And Google too attack like him a politician. When them give him for talk, you know. And a police duty that, you know. Attack to country. As a police, you attack to country and attack to the people, them and the government of the country. You are police. And then your job that, your police. Listen, that's why you have ministry. That's why you read up. Me can't tell us a politician position you take. You're in the piece. Hey, if you go to, you know, Google to. Your heart said to, you know. Boy, you're about on behalf of JCF. You're not supposed to do that. National Security Minister, the Foreign Ministry, I can meet with them, not even him. And because them even in the country, Foreign Ministry engage with them. You know. The diplomat, them and think, them have the diplomat, right? And if anything, you go to the National Security Ministry, Foreign Ministry, I invite them. So you have a club, but deal with that and talk to the government there, because I'm a part of government. This time nothing to do with policing. You provide the things them with the police them need, and you know, you acquire the things with the police. As some know the thing for run. Not them for attack to our whole country. not a Google too. And I read off and I look and watch. That if you know what you do to in a Google, can yeah, Google too. Can you where you talk about what shine the spotlight by you too? Can him don't even know. Google too don't even know. Say you have a deficit with the citizens of Jamaica and think a just deficit. Him say no, not like that because none of that him. That means it won't fix. You don't see my arms house. He must have Google himself. Him not have no sense. Anyway, I see my time I run, I'm going to pick up the little man them, you know, the little soldier them, so, yes. So, yeah, I see my time I run, you know, so, I'm going to touch it in there. And later, you know, we'll come back. But this, the whole I own, man, I don't know family for watch them Monday, and you see me just draw back on Sir Monday again. Ain't about to not blackout face of people who don't know what other things. Moving for moving. Anyway, later, yeah? I'm up. Bless up.